In the last lecture, we have seen the compounding of impulse turbine. Okay, so impulse turbine is completed, as well as what do you mean by compounding and why compounding is necessary. Okay, that we have seen in the last lecture. Now let us move quickly towards the next topic, that is reaction turbine. Okay, reaction turbine is nothing but, we have studied in hydraulic turbines also the reaction principle. What do you mean by reaction turbine? I have told you in case of hydraulic turbine also, if the total pressure energy, or you can say potential energy, is converted into partially into pressure energy and partially into kinetic energy, okay, then that is called as a reaction turbine. Okay, so here also, if the total pressure energy of the steam is partly converted into the kinetic energy in the nozzle, and partly again it is converted into pressure energy in the case of the moving blades, then the turbine is called as a reaction turbine. So if you remember, in case of impulse turbine, the pressure across the moving blade was remaining constant, but in case of reaction turbine, the pressure across the moving blade is also decreasing. So that is the specialty of reaction turbine. You are partly reducing that pressure across the across the moving blade also. So you are making use of that, the shape change of the reaction turbine blades, that is moving blades, okay, to reduce the pressure across the moving blades. So principle, reaction is the force obtained on a body when fluid leaves the body with a higher relative velocity. So you might have seen the example of lawn sprinkler. Okay, when it is the fluid water under pressure is coming in, okay, it is distributed in both the direction. Now there is a nozzle provided at the end, and when the fluid is coming out at a high velocity, okay, from the nozzle, you might have seen some thrust acting on the back side of the nozzle, and that is called as a reaction force. So this reaction is because of this increment in the velocity. As soon as you are increasing the velocity through the nozzle, there is a force exerted on the back side, and that is called as a reaction force. And the same principle here also we are using for reaction turbine. So it is also exerting some reaction type of force on the turbine blade, okay, moving blade, and the blade moves. Okay, so here it is shown the principle. So it is exerting the force on the rotor, and that's why rotor is rotating, okay, in this direction. Okay, so steam is moving in this direction and the reaction is producing in opposite direction. That's why rotor is rotating in clockwise direction and steam is going in anti-clockwise direction. So let us see the famous example of reaction turbine is Parsons reaction turbine, the 50% Parsons reaction turbine that we are going to see soon. So the expansion of steam, okay, across the nozzle causes a backward thrust on the nozzles, and this backward thrust is known as reaction. Due to this reaction, the rotor will rotate in the direction opposite to the direction of steam flow. Okay, so that is the very important concept of reaction turbine in hydraulic as well as steam turbine. So now in this case, we are using again the stage of a turbine is remaining same. Stage consists of a stator and rotor. Stator is nothing but fixed blade and moving blade. Okay, now here the fixed blade are nothing but they are acting as a nozzles. Okay, so nozzles are replaced by fixed blades, but the fixed blades are given such shape that they are decreasing the pressure across the fixed blade, but across the moving blades also pressure is decreasing. If you remember, for impulse turbine there was a nozzle here, and then there was a moving blade. Okay, across the nozzle the total pressure was decreasing and their pressure was remaining constant, okay, across the moving blade. But in case of reaction turbine, it is not the case. In case of reaction turbine, the pressure decreases across the nozzle as well as across the moving blades. So partial pressure decrement is in nozzle and partial pressure decrement is in moving blades. So nozzles here, they are called as a fixed blades. Okay, so it is shown velocity increases in nozzles and velocity as well as pressure decreases, or they are converted into mechanical energy in moving blades. So here on HS diagram, if you see 0 to 1, this is a fixed blade or nozzle, and 1 to 2, it is a moving blade. So enthalpy drop H0 minus H1, it is taking place in fixed blade, and enthalpy drop H1 minus H2, it is taking place across moving blades. So if you see the comparison between impulse and reaction turbine, this is the impulse turbine, nozzle, moving blade, fixed blade, moving blade. So this is compounding actually. That is nothing but, if you remember, it was velocity compounding. Okay, because kinetic energy is absorbed or velocity is absorbed across the stages. okay, across the moving blades. So that's why it is called the velocity compounding. So velocity increases in the nozzle and then it is absorbed across the stages, but the pressure remains same across the moving blades, okay, as well as fixed blades after the nozzles. So pressure decrement only happens in nozzles. After that, pressure remains constant. But that is not the case for reaction turbine. In reaction turbine, if you see fixed blades, they are acting as nozzles, and moving blades are also such that they are decreasing the pressure. So their shape is made such that they are also acting like nozzles. That is, they are decreasing the pressure also, but they are not increasing the velocity. That's why they cannot be called as a nozzles. Okay, they are, because velocity is not increased. The moving blade, you are decreasing the pressure. So this is a fixed blade. Again, this is a moving blade. So both here pressure is decreasing, okay, and velocity is increasing only across the fixed blade, that is nozzle, and then it is decreasing across moving blade. It is converted to mechanical energy. Again, fixed blade where velocity is increased. Again, moving blade, the velocity is decreased likewise. But the pressure decrement is continuous. If you see, pressure decrement is continuous, where here pressure is constant. Okay, that is the difference between impulse and reaction that you should understand. What is the reaction turbine? Pressure and enthalpy drop both in fixed or stator and in the moving blade or rotor. So degree of reaction. What do you mean by degree of reaction? If you remember, we have defined degree of reaction is nothing but the enthalpy drop occurring in rotor upon enthalpy drop occurring in complete stage. So it is nothing but the enthalpy drop or the pressure drop occurring in the rotor, okay, from 1 to 2, whatever H1 minus H2 upon the total enthalpy drop, that is H0 minus H2. That is called as the degree of reaction. So degree of reaction is again same. So 50% degree of reaction means 50% enthalpy drop happens in stator and 50% in rotor. So stator and rotor both are contributing equal for the 50% degree of reaction. That is also known as Parsons reaction turbine. Okay, so because of 50%, the turbine design is coming such that both inlet velocity triangle and outlet velocity triangle, they are same or symmetrical. Inlet velocity triangle and outlet velocity triangle are symmetrical. If you see, this is the inlet velocity triangle, V1, VR1, VF1, making angle alpha 1 and beta 1. So outlet velocity triangle again VR2, V2, VF2. Okay, they are making angle beta 2 and alpha 2. Okay, V2. So if they are symmetrical, then if you see from the diagram, V1 will be equal to VR2. V1 will be equal to VR2 because of symmetry. VR1 will be equal to V2 because of symmetry. Then because of this same velocities, the angles are also same. So if you see alpha 2 is same as that of beta 1. Alpha 2 is same as that of beta 1. And if you see alpha 1, that is same as that of beta 2. So that is the speciality of Parsons reaction turbine, that these angles are same. Okay, alpha 1 is equal to beta 2 and beta 1 is equal to alpha 2, and these velocities are same. So that is called as a Parsons reaction turbine. Now what is blade efficiency that we have seen? The blade efficiency is nothing but the ratio of the output work done upon energy supplied. Now what is the energy supplied? Now here the energy supplied is complete energy, okay, from H0 to H2. H0 to H2. So H0 minus H2 is the energy supplied. So it will be sum of H0 minus H1 plus H1 minus H2, or it is also called as a delta HF plus delta HM. So this is delta HM, which is nothing but the across the moving blades, okay, which is VR2 square minus VR1 square upon 2, and this is delta HM across the fixed blades, V1 square minus VO square upon 2. VO square is the velocity of steam in nozzle, okay, which is nothing but incoming velocity. Generally it is neglected. If you remember, across the nozzle inlet velocity is neglected, so it is only V1 square by 2, okay, delta HF, and delta HM VR2 square minus VR1 square upon 2, because it is the relative velocity which is entering into the moving blades. That's why this change is taken. So delta HM. So the total energy coming in is delta HF plus delta HM. So it will be V1 square by 2 plus VR2 square minus VR1 square by 2. So this will be the total energy coming in. So for Parsons reaction turbine, we have seen that alpha 1 is equal to beta 2, beta 1 is equal to alpha 2, V1 equal to VR2, and VR1 is equal to V2. So if you put the value of VR2 as V2, okay, and VR1 as V1, so it will be V1 square by 2 plus V2 square minus V1 square by 2, or you can say VR2 is nothing but V1, right, and VR1 is nothing but V2. So if you simplify it, you will get E is equal to V1 square by 2 plus VR2 is nothing but your V1. So it is V1 square by 2. So V1 square plus V1 square by 2, it will be V1 square minus VR1 square by 2. VR1 square by 2. So it will be, energy will be equal to, if you simplify again from the velocity triangle, this VR1, what is VR1? So VR1 will be equal to, if you apply cosine rule between V1 and U, the angle between them is alpha 1. So VR1 square is nothing but V1 square minus U1 square plus 2 times V1 U1 into cosine of alpha 1. Okay, so this is the cosine rule. Okay, then you put the value of VR1 here, you will get E as V1 square minus V1 square by 2 minus U1 square by 2 plus 2 times U V1 cos alpha 1 upon 2. And if you simplify this again, V1 square minus V1 square by 2, it will become V1 square by 2 again. So it will be, energy will be this term. Okay, so this is the energy supplied. And what is the work done? Work done is nothing but delta VW into U, or VW1 plus VW2 into U. So it is VW1 plus VW2 into U. And if you see, this is W is equal to U times, okay, VW1 plus VW2. So if you see, this is VW2 and this is VW1. Okay, total is this. Okay, this complete sign. So you can write it either as a V1 cos alpha 1, V1 cos alpha 1, okay, that is VW1, plus what is VW2? If you see VW2, it is VR2 cos beta 2, VR2 cos beta 2 minus U, VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. And if you see VR2 cos beta 2, what is VR2 cos beta 2? Okay, that is nothing but your V1 cos alpha 1, because VR2 is equal to V1 and beta 2 is equal to alpha 1. So it is V1 cos alpha 1 plus V1 cos alpha 1 minus U. So it is U into 2 times V1 cos alpha 1 minus U. So W is coming as U into bracket 2 times V1 cos alpha 1 minus U. So if you put the value of W and kinetic energy supplied, so W is this term and kinetic energy supplied is this term. So this 2 will come upside and it will become 2 times U into bracket 2 V1 cos alpha 1 minus U upon V1 square minus U1 square plus 2 times V1 U cos alpha 1. This is the expression for the blade efficiency. Okay, now condition for maximum blade efficiency. Okay, we have taken yes in the last time, it is optimum blade speed ratio. Here we should take yes, but let us take it as a row. It is given in the book. So if you take instead of yes, only you assume it as a row, that is U upon V1. Okay, blade speed ratio, it is called as the blade speed ratio. And if you take blade speed ratio, okay, U upon V1 as a blade speed ratio, dividing by V1 on the top side also and bottom side also, and simplifying it, you get 2 rho, maximum efficiency is coming as 2 rho into cos alpha 1 minus rho upon V1 square minus U square plus 2 times U V1 cos alpha 1. Okay, putting the values of, okay, U upon V1 as a rho, then you are getting this, okay, taking the derivative of, this is not maximum, this is taking the derivative of efficiency with respect to rho and equating it to 0. If you simplify this, okay, all the terms are in terms of rho and cos of alpha 1 only. Okay, if you divide this throughout by V1 square, okay, top side also, bottom side also, then you will have the term only in terms of rho and cos alpha. Ultimately, you are getting optimum blade speed ratio as cos alpha 1. So if you remember, for impulse turbine it was coming as cos alpha 1 by 2. But for reaction turbine, the optimum blade speed coming as cos alpha 1. Okay, so this you have to remember. And if you put this value in maximum blade efficiency, you will get for reaction turbine as 2 cos square alpha 1 upon 1 plus cos square alpha 1. 2 cos square alpha 1 upon 1 plus cos square alpha 1. And impulse turbine, the same maximum blade efficiency was coming as cos square alpha 1. So these are the two efficiencies that you have to remember. Okay, so if you see this diagram, in this diagram, the maximum blade efficiency for impulse turbine, it was coming at cos alpha 1 by 2. So this was maximum efficiency. But for reaction turbine, if you see, it is coming slightly higher than that. Okay, so the condition is cos alpha 1. Condition for optimum blade speed ratio is cos alpha 1. So at cos alpha 1, you are getting maximum efficiency as 2 cos square alpha 1 upon 1 plus cos square alpha 1. So this is the efficiency. So reaction turbine efficiency is coming greater than the impulse turbine efficiency. That's why most of the steam turbines used in practice are reaction turbines, because of their higher efficiency. This you have to remember. Okay, so that is the most important point to be discussed here. next lecture we will see blade height and numericals. Okay, on